Alright, guys, coming at you one more time today to discuss esports. Now, I covered esports a little bit uh, on an earlier episode of the podcast, and I feel like it needs to be discussed again because in Inglewood, California, at the Forum, they're having the Call of Duty Championships. This is something that was uh, from the 2nd of the month till the 4th, which I believe the 2nd was Friday, and the 4th will be tomorrow, which is Sunday. And it's basically a few rounds, and then there will be a championship decided tomorrow and a cash prize. Um, you know, esports, and especially this Call of Duty, is something that is growing. Um, the Call of Duty championships are definitely growing. I watched a little bit of the stream on MLG.TV. Uh, I saw Rise Nation. Uh, it looked like they were going to beat um, the team that they were facing. And, you know, I really feel like esports is something that's become a way for guys who don't fit into what I was discussing previously, like the college football atmosphere, the NFL, whatever it is that, you may have thought about trying to be. They don't really fit there. Some of them may be athletes in their own right, but for the majority, it's, you know, couch warriors. And I think that it's appealing in that sense because not everybody is 6'3", 260 pounds and can play in the NFL. Not everybody is fast as lightning and can dribble a ball playing the NBA. But the reason that I feel esports is so significant is if you put time and effort into a game, almost anyone can be a championship level player at a game. Now, does it take skill? Yes. But it's a skill that you can hone and it doesn't require you to be of a certain body type. That's the key difference. I don't care how good you are, I don't care how fast you are. If you're 4'10", you're never going to play in the NBA. Um, there's certain things that you just simply cannot do being a certain body type sports wise. This doesn't come into play when it comes to esports. I mentioned the Call of Duty Championships. That's going to wrap up Sunday. But beyond that, 2K Sports uh, is going to have NBA 2K. They're going to be running, a lot of esports type of stuff where you're competing for cash prizes, and at the end, you're going to have a championship that's decided either at their headquarters or some site like that where they're going to duke it out for cash prize and bragging rights. Um, Madden does the same thing with the Madden Bowl. They take the best players online and they duke it out for a title, and it's an amazing spectacle. I believe last year they had it at Times Square, and there was a giant television that was sitting above, the thing in Times Square, and it was displaying the game. It's an incredible thing to see a crowd of people around a video game player as he's doing his thing. I really enjoyed that coverage, and I think EA Sports has something there with the Madden Bowl. It's exciting. You get to learn the personalities of the guys that play. There's some crazy characters that play Madden, and I feel like 2K Sports is going to try to do a similar thing this year with the road to the finals. You really didn't see too much of what they had going on, the backstory behind the players and all that, and I think that's something that 2K needs to recognize as a viable option to make people pay attention to their product because the more invested you are in a player or a person, the more likely you are to tune in when they go for a championship, and the more that championship means. I can equate this to wrestling, which is another thing that I equate, or excuse me, another thing that I put in the podcast. Remember, guys, this is live. I will make mistakes with my vocabulary now. wrestling has a very, I don't know if I'd say it's very complicated, but it's kind of a complicated system that they have to juggle. What happens is you try to make each title matter. And how you do that is by putting the title on a character that people care about. And the reason why I use this as an example is because in the Madden Bowl, when they're showing you how the guys are off the thumbsticks, I guess, you can appreciate what they went through to win that title, and you can kind of see how they grow as people winning this title. You know, maybe you get invested in a person and they happen to win the title. Well, that's gonna make you feel great, and each time that they win, you're gonna want to advance with them and watch the next round. Whereas with 2K, it's kind of, oh, well, okay, well, these guys are in the finals. Let's see who wins, I guess. You know, there's no investment, there's no involvement by the people to focus in on, this is my favorite guy. I like him because he's cool. He does this and that. And I think that's something that they could definitely use as kind of a look at this as an example, I guess, with the Madden Bowl on how to do a successful esports show. Um, G4 has a lot of programs about esports, and you know, I saw a thing on ESPN where they were talking about the downfall of esports and why some people take it a little bit too seriously. There's guys that use Adderall to compete because it lasers your focus. Probably helps your aim on like a Halo or a Call of Duty. Uh, you know, that's interesting. You know, it goes to show you that esports will eventually be taken as serious as another sport. You know, maybe not quite as serious as football or basketball or baseball, but you know, one of the lesser sports, maybe a tennis, maybe a golf. And I hear people talking now, oh, golf isn't a lesser sport, but let's think about this in reality here, people. More people watch football, basketball, and baseball than golf. Even baseball around the world is very popular. Golf is very popular too, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite on that level. You know, there's no excitement in golf the way that there is when the World Series is happening and it's your team in the World Series, you know? It's different when it's a team sport. I very rarely hear a guy say that a team sport isn't more desirable to win at than an individual sport. You know, tennis has individual sport. They also have a doubles championship in every major. The singles is more popular, but I think a lot of people would tell you that the doubles, being that it's a team sport, is harder to achieve because it's not just the individual person at it. I mean, if that's the case, Serena Williams on the women's side would probably win most of the double tournaments. Her and Venus win their fair share, but not every single one. Um, the other thing that I want to discuss with people today is why do you feel, and this is something that I'd like to have some feedback on at 86 Voice of Reason on Twitter. Why do you feel esports has taken off the way that it has? When I was a kid, and you told me that when I'm 29 years old, which I am today, uh, if you told me that guys would compete at video games for hundreds of thousands of dollars, I'd call you crazy. There was just no way when I was growing up that that would ever be a possibility. You know, when I was growing up, Street Fighter was just coming out, and now it's, you know, a multiple tens of $1,000 tournament by Capcom and other tournaments from around the world that go on in that particular game, and they're massive prizes. Uh, and I just don't understand conceptually how it transformed from just a thing that you do with your buddies on the weekends to something that people literally call a job. It's impressive. I'm not knocking it because I'm a huge fan of it, but it's interesting. It almost makes me wonder. It makes me wish that I was alive in the 60s when the NFL was really trying to take off and it was still the AFL and there were things that were going into it. How did it transform from, a split league to one solid league to the biggest league in the world? It's very interesting when you think about it. It's cool that I'm alive and I can see how the esports is taking over, and it's kind of becoming its own niche sport for now. And in the future, I think that it'll transform itself into a major sport. I think you'll have guys that figure out ways to train at the games more so than just practicing. You'll find guys they think that if they're in better shape, that they're going to be able to play the game better. And you're going to find all kinds of things, I think. And it's weird to say it like that, but, you know, at one point, every offensive lineman in the NFL was just a large man. He wasn't in shape at all. They were just big, huge masses of men. Now, if you look at offensive linemen, they're not quite all, huge, rotund people anymore. They have to be able to run. There's pulling guards and things like that. They have to have some monicum of mobility. And this is a thing that I think you'll see as the esports takes off is more people will try to get into the sport and find an edge. And let's hope that that edge isn't, Adderall and things like that, as I previously discussed in the last episode. Um, oh, excuse me, in a few minutes ago. But let's hope that the advantage is something like, hard work, dedication, practicing. So that's gonna do it for this week. I'm gonna come at you again, uh, probably earlier next week. If not, we'll wrap out the entire college schedule, this week's games next Saturday. If I don't hit you guys on Monday, so let me know what you thought about what I said. 86 voice of reason. Let me know, guys. Agree, disagree, hate, love, don't care. Just let me know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, I guess I should say. And, drop me a like if you enjoyed what you saw or enjoyed what you heard. I'm going to get this right eventually, guys, I promise. But, you know, the show must go on. So, next week, I'm going to have a whole lot more to talk about, hopefully. This week was kind of a down week due to the fact that the NFL hasn't quite kicked off. NCAA has kicked off, but I really can't talk about every game because not all the games are finished. In fact, Alabama USC is still going on right now. So there's a lot of games that I won't be able to cover today, and I will be able to next week. So hopefully you guys will join me then, and I'll talk about everything. Um, Again, esports. Tell me what you guys think. How is it becoming what it is? 86 Voice of Reason, Twitter. Other than that, guys, I'm out for the weekend. Stay safe.